Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. President Trump's State of the Union address was full of accomplishments such as sealing the border and also the economy. And there were plenty of highlights, but also a lot of lowlights with how the Democrats wouldn't even stand up and applaud American heroes. And joining us now to discuss what this all means for the president and also for the country is Tim Murtaugh, former senior advisor to the Trump 2024 campaign and also former Trump communications director. Tim, first of all, what did you think of the historic State of the Union address?
Well, Rita, first, thanks for having me on. It's always good to be with you. It may not come as a surprise to you, but I thought the president did really well. I mean, I think in a speech like that, there are always things that you're trying to accomplish, specific boxes that you want to check. And I'm pretty sure that some of the boxes, the major ones that he wanted to check going in there last night was he wanted to talk about the greatness of America, and he wanted to highlight American heroes, and God knows he certainly did that with Medal of Honor winners, the U.S. hockey team, all kinds of stories about great Americans and things that they have faced in adversity that they've overcome. So American heroes, check. He wanted to report that America as a nation is back, and that's about the economy. That's about our strength. That's about our position on the world stage. That's about defending our own sovereignty as a nation, which is a novel concept to a lot of Democrats in that room. That means securing our borders. So that's another box checked. America is back. And then he needed to expose the opposition as the insane people that they truly are, Rita. And thankfully, the Democrats are crazy, and he was able to just give them the opportunity, and they demonstrated it. And all he had to do was give them the chance and sort of let them go with their own devices, and you saw that. So I think he accomplished three things. He highlighted American heroes, he demonstrated that America is back, and he let America see who the opposition is. I think it was a great night.
You know, speaking of exposing the opposition, there were some stunning moments, Tim, where he said, okay, let's put it out there. Do you support as sort of the fundamental role of the U.S. government to put American citizens first and illegal aliens second? That do you recognize that that's the priority? And the fact that the Democrats did not stand, and he brilliantly highlighted it, it really was a stunning moment. And to me, I think that encapsulated the whole night. And he even said, I can't believe you're not standing.
Yeah, it really is really remarkable. And so just think about these things. When Donald Trump stands, whether it's in the House chamber or anywhere, he's talking about illegal immigration and securing the border. The things that he says now that people like Chuck Schumer rail against and oppose and won't stand up for during the State of the Union, those are the very things that Chuck Schumer himself used to say on the floor of the United States Senate. But somehow when Donald Trump says it, now all of a sudden it's not right. So what Donald Trump did in that moment where he said, hey, I want you to stand up if you think that the role of the government is to protect American citizens and not illegal aliens, and no Democrats would stand up. That's Donald Trump saying, hey, here comes the political trap. I'm about to set a trap for you. Here's the trap. Here it comes. All right, that's the trap. Now, go ahead and walk into it. And the Democrats walked right into it. They knew it was coming, but they can't help themselves. They just can't help themselves. And on a night where tens of millions of Americans were watching, they did it again.
And, you know, you hit it on the head, Tim, because it is Trump derangement syndrome. You're right. If you go back and you play some of the comments that Schumer has said, you think about even, you know, prior Democratic presidents, you know, you play some Biden clips from years ago, Clinton clips, even some of Obama's actions with the border, the deporter in chief, if you will. But it's because it is Trump. Isn't that what it comes down to?
It really is, and it's remarkable. You just see, and it's the Democrats and the national media, the way that they have treated the United States gold medal winning men's hockey team is a perfect example. If it is good news for America, it's bad news for Democrats, and the media will treat it as such. It really is remarkable. When Democrats are not in power, they actively root against the success of this country. They really do. And even when they're in power, they still act as though, and I believe it's because they really feel this way, they act as though they are embarrassed to be Americans. Well, if that's the case, then by God, don't run for office. Go home and sit in a dark room and suck your thumb, you know, and read Huffington Post all day. Don't run for office if you hate this country. And that's what Donald Trump has exposed. It's masterful. You know, he knows these people so well, and he knows that they won't be able to help themselves, and he leads them right into it.
And, you know, you're exactly right. He teed it up. He was ready. They bit into it. And also, to even further accent it, I thought one of the most defining moments was Ilhan Omar, right after he said, hey, can you stand up if you would put American citizens first? To me, that's not a trick question, but it was for them. And then Omar and Rashida Tlaib started screaming at him. I mean, it really looked... he put out a Truth Social post a few hours ago saying that they're mentally deranged and need to be institutionalized. It really did feel like it was alternate universe, Tim Murtaugh.
Yeah, you know, God love him. One of the many things that you could say about Donald Trump is that he is absolutely blessed by the nature of his enemies. Really, truly. I mean, he's up there trying to make the case that he is fighting for America and he wants people to agree with him that we need to secure our borders and illegal immigration is a problem. And Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and others are sitting there heckling him from the audience. What they are arguing is for an invasion of this country by people from other countries. That's what they advocate. It is true. It is amazing. And as we just talked about, it wasn't very long ago that almost every Democrat in that chamber last night would be standing up and applauding someone who said that we have to control our borders. But because Donald Trump's saying it, they can't handle it. And you know what? The rest of the country sees this. The midterms are coming, and people can see that the Democrats, they are not acting like normies, as the kids say. You know, they are not acting like normal people, right? I got to tell you, it's a wild scene. There's good news all over the place for the country. The tax cuts are working. The president's economy he's really spurted. Inflation is down. Wages are up. Gas prices are down. Interest rates are down. There's historic reduction in crime in cities across the country, 125-year lows from coast to coast in different cities. I mean, it really is a remarkable comeback story. And, of course, the Democrats can't stand it. And then they have the nerve to say, hey, rehire us, put us back in charge, and we'll help. You're the ones who caused all the problems. You can't just say, oh, okay, everybody forget about all that. It's just what a mess. What a mess they are.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, you talked about the midterms because all I kept thinking about there were many things that would be the perfect campaign ad against a lot of these Democrats. You know, you were, of course, Trump's communications director. You understand it all too well, Tim. Were you sitting there thinking, okay, them not even standing at this moment, them not standing for the Medal of Honor recipients, not all of them standing even for the hockey guys. I mean, it was how about Irina Zaruska's mother? Irina was the one who was, of course, brutally stabbed on that light rail train in Charlotte, North Carolina. There was her mother sobbing. It moved me to tears. Anybody who's a human being would be moved by it. Yet they didn't stand. And even Trump said, I can't believe you should be ashamed of yourself. All I kept thinking about is there were a lot of campaign ads there against the Democrats who were sitting.
Yeah, those are incredible images, and that's another way that I was trying to describe there about how Trump sort of told them what was about to happen and gave them the chance to think about it. And they still didn't do it. They don't have any courage. The reason why they don't. Let me tell you about this. The reason why they don't stand up and applaud, why the Democrats can't bring themselves to do that, is because they're scared to death of the radical left of their party. The radical fringe of the Democrat Party pulls all the strings. And you are not, if you are an elected member of Congress as a Democrat, you are not permitted to stray from the absolute extreme left's orthodoxy. You just are not allowed to. If Donald Trump says something, you must say that it's bad. It doesn't matter what he said. And so what J.D. Vance was doing an interview, I think he was on Fox, and he was talking about, of course, he had a view of the whole thing. He was sitting right up there as president of the Senate. He was sitting up there with Speaker Johnson right behind the president, of course. And he could see what the Democrats were doing. He was looking right at them. And when Donald Trump would say, stand up, if you support this, stand up, the Democrats were looking at each other because they were trying to get cues from each other. No one was going to make the decision to stand up on his own. He had to see if there was going to be safe. Are you standing up? Are you standing up? It's okay to stand up, to cheer for the Medal of Honor winner, folks. You don't have to get permission from your seatmate. It's insanity, Rita. Insanity.
It really is. Like you just said, I could even see that, by the way, watching it too, that they were kind of looking like, is this one where I guess we're not supposed to stand up for this either. And if you can't stand up for a Medal of Honor recipient, you can't stand up for, again, Irina Zaruska's mother. You can't stand up for some of these other moments, the young girl who was seriously injured by an illegal alien who survived and had that beautiful little smile on her face. It's like, who are you going to stand up for? It made me feel like we know what they don't stand up for. Do we know what they stand for, the Democrats?
Well, we do, because you can extrapolate that pretty easily. If they're opposed to secure borders, they must be in favor of open borders. If they're opposed to tax cuts, they must be in favor of higher taxes. If they're opposed to lower inflation, they must be in favor of higher inflation, which you could actually sort of demonstrate, because they all voted for the policies that Joe Biden used to create inflation in the first place. So what they're for really is anything that undermines the greatness of America. It really, truly, because what Donald Trump is offering, it's very clear. Donald Trump is saying, hey, look, I love this country, and if we work together, we can all restore it to the glory that we know that it always has deserved. And Democrats say, no, we're not interested in that. Americans can see it. I have never really seen a contrast between the parties this clear before. It's been a long time.
I didn't either. I was sad, Tim, to watch that the division, because here it was a beautiful moment of heralding who we are as a country, these amazing heroes and people who've endured unimaginable moments. And yet there was still that partisan division that was so spotlighted by the Democratic Party. Before I let you go, also, Trump talked about, as you mentioned, a lot about the economy, talked about his successes. He also talked, it was only, not even that long, but he talked a bit about Iran, but he also talked about solving 8 wars in 10 months. I mean, you think about all the things he solved, and that was just like one of many things. It's been extraordinary what he also could talk about with that. And Maduro, you had the guy who was the hero of the raid there as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So if the Democrats, which of course they have to do, they have to oppose him no matter what he says, every last one of them knew that Maduro was a despot. He was a tyrannical dictator. He was a murderer. He's a drug dealer, really one of the worst criminals on the face of the planet, posing as a head of state. Everyone agreed with this assessment of the guy. And everyone had always said it had been the goal of many people over the course of different administrations to get the guy removed and have him replaced. So Trump actually goes and does that, removes the guy. And now the Democrats have decided, well, no, he wasn't that bad. Maybe we needed to stay him to stay in place. And they were actively rooting, if you recall, Rita, actively rooting for the country to descend into chaos once Maduro had been removed, right? They were actually saying, oh, boy, we don't know what's going to happen here. This could really tip things out of control. And what has happened down there? Nothing. Everything's fine. And you don't hear anything from them, but you know they're disappointed.
Yeah, it's amazing because the message of peace through strength clearly is what President Trump is all about, and trying till the final degree in any layer, whether it's Iran, whether it's Venezuela, so many of these different things. Well, Tim Murtaugh, you are terrific. Everybody be sure to subscribe and share to this podcast. And Tim, thank you for your great insights. It is certainly an interesting moment in history, and I never thought I would see one party in America not stand for great American heroes. I think it's a sad reflection of the Democratic Party, but happy to see that at least we have a lot of people who are standing and standing strong for them. Tim, thank you very much.
Well, Rita, thank you as always. It's good to talk to you again, and God bless America and God bless President Trump.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.